Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the Seeing Ability Podcast, where we're having a conversation about the world of people with differing abilities. And that means sometimes we're going to be talking to adults who grew up as that kid with a difference, to parents who are or have raised kids with some sort of disability or different ability, and a lot of people that support that community. Sometimes it's going to be educators, sometimes it's going to be people in healthcare, people in nonprofits, people in all sort of realms. First of all, I know you're busy and you have a lot of choices when it comes to listening, so thanks for tuning in to us. This is one of my nonprofit spotlight episodes, so I'm really excited to have the folks from Next Step right here in my neck of the woods here in Kentucky. Sue Ellen, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. We love to share our story and give people hope.
So tell me, who did you bring with you today? Maybe you can introduce everybody and how they're related to the organization.
Okay, so first of all, I brought Susan Ballerstedt, who's my best friend, and we've been in ministry together since 2006. So we've had 20 years of working together and doing life together and raising our 4 children each together. Both of our oldest are sons, and they both are on the spectrum. And then I brought Dana and her son Jacob, so Dana Halliday and Jacob Halliday. And Jacob was one of our very first students in Next Step training program. And he is an absolutely wonderful young man. And Dana and Jacob's sister Kiki have been such huge supporters of Next Step, even after he went through our program.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, we're going to get into what the programs are, and I'll come back to Next Step in a minute. But first, my listeners know we want to just get to know you guys a little bit outside of this world of differences. So we're going to do the Fast Four, brought to us by my friends at Reliable Tech Help. So if you have tech issues, give them a buzz, 502-797-7399. Question number one, we'll do a round robin here. We'll start with Dana and Jacob. What is your favorite food? Jacob, favorite food?
I love steak. Like when I go to Longhorn, I always order a steak, for example.
Okay, there you go. Dana, how about you?
I kind of like Mediterranean a lot right now, but I change my preferences depending on my mood.
Okay, I like it. Susan, how about you?
Anything that I don't have to make or bake.
Okay, Sue Ellen.
It's funny, anything my husband cooks, but mainly Indian.
Okay, a very eclectic group here. What about if we looked at your playlist? What kind of music would you be listening to? What kind of songs would we find on there, Sue Ellen?
I absolutely love a cappella music. So home free, pentatonics, any of those.
Okay, Susan.
My two favorite songs is Greater by Mercy Me and Taking My Time by Ashton Becker and Dante.
Okay, you didn't hesitate a minute there. I like that. Okay, Dana, how about you? Music you like?
I love just about all music. I really love classical because I'm a cellist. So Bach's my favorite. My favorite band is Need to Breathe. So I have a very wide range of likes.
Okay, and then Jacob, what about you? What kind of music do you like?
I typically like pop or rock style type of music.
Fantastic, pop or rock. Okay, Jacob, we'll stay with you. What are you enjoying these days? Is there like a TV show you're watching or a movie that you've really enjoyed or a book you're reading?
Yeah, I like to watch a lot of things. Like I typically like to watch streamers on YouTube.
Fantastic. Okay, Dana, how about you?
I love documentaries and I love British dramas.
British dramas. My wife is all about the Brit box. She can't get enough British dramas. Sue Ellen, how about you?
I love historical fiction and documentaries, and I usually have 2 or 3 books that I'm reading at a time.
Fantastic. Susan?
I love books on tape, listening through the Bible on tape, and my guilty pleasure is knitting while listening.
There you go. Okay. So last but not least, we'll go backwards, starting with Susan. A bucket list destination, somewhere in the world you'd like to go, but you haven't been yet.
Any place new. I do love to travel and see new places, and I like to rotate between the mountains and then the seaside and back and forth. And yes,
Okay. Both of those sound great. Sue Ellen, how about you?
I'd love to go to Aruba or somewhere Bali, somewhere with those incredibly blue coastlines.
Okay, very good. Dana, what about you? A place you'd love to go?
I would love to visit Ireland sometime, but before then, I actually would like to travel west in the United States because I have never seen all of those great national parks in the West. I would love to.
Yeah, lots of things to see there. And then Jacob, what about you? Where would you like to go?
So I know I've been to like part of Canada technically already, but I'd love to see more of Canada. That'd be pretty
Yeah,
cool. Because
yeah,
I saw
lots to see.
like Niagara Falls before. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
very cool. Didn't go over the falls though in a barrel. That's good. We're good that didn't happen. Okay, Sue Ellen, why don't you give us just a quick 30,000-foot sketch of what is the organization Next Step and what do you guys do?
Next Step Training Program is a vocational training program for adults with high functioning autism. We do a 16-week training program to give our students the skills they need to get a job and be successful on that job. Once they've completed our program, then we find employers who are willing to hire them, where they're appreciated and not tolerated, and then we do long-term support with them.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, we're going to get into a lot of that later. All three of you who are parents on the podcast today have had the stage that parents go through, we like to call acceptance, kind of like you have this diagnosis, you understand your kid is going to be on a slightly different path than maybe a quote typically abled kid. And that's either a hard thing, an easy thing, a long thing to get through and get past. For each of you, Susan and Sue Ellen, since you're parents yourself, how big or small was that part of the journey for you? And then what kind of advice do you give with all the families you've worked with over the years about that stage? Maybe Susan, we'll start with you.
Um, Actually, I think it was sort of big for us. I realized there was something different about our son when he was 4. Um, and I wanted to get him tested or something, some help and advice. My husband said no. He said that he's just like him and there's nothing wrong and nothing to be seen. And I had to spend a lot of time praying and dealing with that. And I realized that my husband was right, that they were two peas in a pod, and that this young autistic young child could grow up to be a functioning um, father, husband, and a very good person. And I just had to figure out how to get there. And it really drew me closer to God in that I that he was in control and that he had a plan. And I didn't mean to get so emotional about this, but yes.
How
So
could you not get emotional about it? It's very personal for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
yes. When our son was 17, my husband said yes, we could get him tested, and we got the diagnosis of autism, which was Asperger's then, and ADHD, and all this. And then my husband, being he did a deep dive into it, and then he came and he's like, we have to talk. I have autism. And I mean, I laughed. It's just he's like,
Right.
you think?
Uh,
So,
Yeah.
but it's not a bad thing.
Right.
It there is such ability in it, and I know God had us do Next Step and do this to help others through that, and so
Yeah.
it was quite a journey.
That's
But God,
such an interesting perspective. On one hand, you're like, let's get some testing, let's get some intervention, let's see how we can help. And then on the other hand, he's like, well, we don't really need intervention because he's just fine. Yeah, sure, he's wired different, but aren't we all? And I'm wired different. And you're kind of both right, right? Like it's the two perspectives both really help the journey. That's
well,
so powerful.
mhm.
and the powerful thing is because of that we came up and was exposed to all these alternative methods and not what is in the normal public school method. We use the Feuerstein, we use the Think Move Learn system, and we did all those with our son and then also with our daughters who are not autistic, and it works for anybody. And I tell everybody, I want people to know these exist and that you can do these with your children and they help them think better. Everybody thinks better doing this.
I love that. So, Sue Ellen, how about for you, that early stage, and then what advice do you give to parents that are kind of maybe struggling through that part of the journey?
So, with us, with our son being our oldest, I just kind of thought, well, maybe it's because he's a firstborn, or maybe this is how all children are. But I knew there was something a little bit different. He was brilliant. like really, really smart, but very quirky on things. And he was late on all his milestones, but he was late. He didn't not meet them. So, like, okay, we're all good. And I had wonderful people who surrounded me with our parenting. And God called us to homeschool, but I didn't understand that it was autism. And that's what was causing some of these behaviors and the struggles that we were having. And it only made sense. So when I say he was brilliant, at 4, he was reading 4.5 full Dr. Seuss books, and he has a March birthday. So he wouldn't enter kindergarten until 5.5. And I was like, well, what are they going to teach him? So we just started our homeschooling journey, and it was phenomenal because I could teach him at his pace, and he learned very quickly, but he was behind socially. So he would have been teased mercilessly in a school. He was a little small for his age. He would have been bullied. And now that we're on this end of the journey, because he's 30 years old, he is comfortable in his own skin. And he is kind, just like Jacob is so kind. He's still very intelligent. He holds a full-time job. He owns his own home. He bought a car with cash. He's getting married in the fall. But we went through a very dark period between about 12 or 13 and about 22 to 23. And I would just tell parents, hang on. You'll get them through this, pray them through this, work with them, and keep the relationship there. Like, so my son does have some learning challenges with math. We stopped math for 2 years to preserve our relationship. It was much more important than the math was. And now he has a job where he uses calculus. So just hang on and keep that relationship strong. That's what I would really tell them.
And what about parents who, as they're working through acceptance right now, they're caught up in the worry part? You know, what's my 3-year-old's life going to be like when they're 20? What advice would you give to parents as they're working through that piece, either Susan or Sue Ellen?
Well, I would say day to day, just take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and reach out to somebody who's just gone through the stage that you've been through or that you're going through. So if you have a 3-year-old, reach out to somebody who has a 7-year-old. Don't reach out to another mom who has a 3-year-old. That one step ahead, because they've been there and done that, and they have a little bit of hindsight.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
I have to say that was good advice because that's what I did. I just found parents who had children just a little older than mine who mentored me and helped that. And that's why I love to encourage parents with young ones because I've been through those steps and like you can do this.
Yeah, I love that. Now, Dina, you had a slightly different lens when you became a parent that was informed by your upbringing as a kid. So tell us your story and how that kind of changed maybe your acceptance chapter.
Yeah, so my brother, he's my older brother by about 4 years. He was born with the cord wrapped around his neck, and he had lost the ability to breathe for so long that he was born with brain damage. But there were also some other issues that were probably likely genetic, and I believe that he probably would have been born with disabilities anyway. So he has cerebral palsy as well, and just a host of different things. So he's about the level of a 4-year-old mentally. And just growing up with him and being in the spaces of people with children with disabilities, I really learned at an early age that it's not, like we've said, it's not like a death sentence to even have a child that is like profoundly disabled. There's still some light and hope there. And so with Jacob, he was so precocious. Like he was, he didn't have the mental disability, but I did notice the quirky things about him. And I did notice, I noticed his stimming, like he would vocally stim a lot, and his sensory difficulties and struggles. And just like with my brother, other kids could pick up that something was a little different, and I would see them separate from him because what we don't understand we often fear, and I saw that happen a lot. So that was the part that broke my heart for him. But as far as having him as my son and knowing that something was going on, I did not have the grief about that a lot of people might, because I was just so used to that. And
Yeah.
but it's been a journey, and I think early on, I think he needed more reassurance about what was going on with him than I did. And
Mhm.
I think
Especially 12-year-old me.
yes, yeah, at that age, there's something about that age. Hormones and everything.
Yeah.
He I remember him crying and saying that there was something wrong with him and he didn't think he would ever be able to do anything right. And it just tore me up. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
And so I started looking more into the things that I noticed in him, because I knew something was going on. I wasn't sure what. And it just kept coming back to autism. And so I opened up Google. I Googled these symptoms. I like, Jacob, read this and tell me what you think. And he said, this sounds like me. And I was like, exactly. And then we started looking up helps for it, and looking up people who are successful on the autism spectrum, whatever success means for people.
Sure.
That's the broad term. But anyways, so he was able to see also that he could thrive, and it was not something that was gonna like hold him down forever, and he might go through struggles, but in the end there's always hope, and there's always a chance to improve and do better day by day, just like anybody, neurotypical or not. We all have struggles. So
Yeah, and anybody who's been a parent knows that if you have a quote neurotypical kid or a typically abled kid, there's no guarantee of what the path of their future is going to be, and it's going to humble you to think you can control that as a parent, for sure. Good segue into like what's possible for kids with parenting in general. There's always this balance of like, how much do you let them go out and do things and learn by trial and error, and how much do you want to just wrap them in bubble wrap and protect them and be that helicopter parent? And that's kind of true for any kid, but then you add a kid who faces extra challenges on a daily basis, and it can kind of complicate that journey. We'll start with the S's, as I like to say, Susan and Sue Ellen. Why don't you guys say how much or how little was that needing to let go and let them thrive a part of your journey? Were you the helicopter parent or not? Did you evolve over time? And then after each of you share that, we might come to like what advice you'd have for parents to as they navigate that. Susan, how about you?
Okay, so yes, that's a struggle because you want to make things better for them. You want to protect them. But I was also trying to let them, because of the autism, our son had a little more low muscle tone and didn't do, but so I encouraged, like, go climb a tree. But what I didn't do is help him get up in the tree. If you can get in the tree, you may climb the tree. If you can do this, then you can, you know, um, you can climb the tree. But letting him go and do public transportation for the first time by himself, and then he gets on the wrong bus and it's in the other end of town and decides that he can walk home 11 miles, and you know and and then you get a phone call from him and he's going, I'm at McDonald's, pick me up, I'm tired of walking. And what McDonald's, where are you?
Right.
But you don't panic. You really do have to trust God's got this, and he can do this, but he has to do some things on his own, and he has to experience it and learn from it. But it's very hard because how people look at him and go, what's wrong with him and why is he doing that? And it's a balance that's lived daily.
I love that story. And I think there's probably some listeners that's like, oh my gosh, I would have never had the courage to let my kid try public transportation, walk home on their own, call me from McDonald's. So kudos to you that you even did that. And you lived to tell the story. And so did your child. So that's great. Sue Ellen, how was that for you? Were you this is a judgment-free zone. Were you the
Yeah.
helicopter parent? Were you the throw them in the deep end, they'll figure it out parent? And how did you evolve?
I am very much anti-helicopter. I err on the side of too much independence for my kids. I have four, like I said, and because we didn't know our son was on the spectrum. He was, he was behind socially, but he just did everything my others were expected to do. Resiliency, perseverance, grit. We're just like, okay, you can do this. You're 16. Okay, it's time to get a job. Okay, 14. We're walking around the neighborhood saying, whose lawn can we mow? He didn't get a pass for anything. He had to look people in the eye. He had to volunteer with all the rest of my children. The only thing that we let him out of, which is interesting, we're a very athletic family. We love sports. All of our family, they were out on the softball field, we're out on the soccer field, now we're all on the pickleball court. But when he was 12, I think he was 12, he was playing baseball. He was in right field or sitting the bench. And it was an awful situation, and we let him quit. It's the first time we ever let any of our children quit. But it was okay because we talked through it, and he was really starting to feel the social pressure, and he was understanding and taking it personally. We're like, okay, this is the time that he can quit. But other than that, we just don't let him quit. We help walk them through that and learn from it. But like I said, I'm very much you're independent, you got this.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Dina, what about for you? Early on, and did it evolve? Were you the helicopter parent? Were you somewhere in between? And what did you learn from that about the holding on tight, letting go kind of thing?
Yes, I think I've been on a pendulum through this whole life. I've seen where some areas I may have held too tight, and other areas I wasn't there enough. And that's been the biggest struggle, I think, is just knowing when to let go and when not to, because I want to be there to advocate for him if he needs me to, but because he doesn't always advocate for himself, I don't think. And so, especially as an adult, when he started applying for jobs and that sort of thing, in my mind, I was always questioning, should I tell them he has autism? Should I just let him tell them he has autism or not tell them? Like, I didn't know what to do. And so as Jacob grew, I let him guide more. And there were times that probably I should have stepped in that I didn't as an adult, as he was an adult. But I think overall I have really swung back and forth, and it is really hard to balance.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue. You talked about applying for jobs. Sue Ellen, maybe tell a little bit about the backstory about Jacob and Dana's involvement with your program, and kind of reminding folks how that works with the job part.
Yes, so our program is two sessions a week for 3.5 hours. The first 15 minutes is discussion time. So we have a word of the week: honesty, resiliency, teamwork, perseverance. So we help with soft skills, social skills during that time. We have a group of 4, so it's not overwhelming. And then we have a full hour of sensory integration therapy. So it's a form of occupational therapy where it connects the mind to the body. It works on their vestibular system, their proprioception, knowing where all their body parts are. And then we move to an hour of cognitive training. So we help them think about their thinking and fix dysfunctional thinking. And then we do an hour of vocational training, whether it's cooking or automotive or woodworking, to help them gain more skills and find out where they're gifted. And then we wrap up with 15 minutes of discussion time with that same word of the week. And during those 16 weeks, we really get to know our students and their strengths and their weaknesses and how we can assist them on the job. And in fall of 19, we had our pilot program for 2 short weeks, and it worked. And we were very excited to do the full 16-week program. And then the world shut down for a year. So then in January of 21, we did our first 16-week program, and we were so thrilled. And then the second session was when Jacob was involved with our program in fall of 21, if I'm not mistaken. And so really he was still kind of a guinea pig. So, because we were very green, but he rolled with the punches, and he was so coachable and teachable and just very eager to learn and to be better, to be the better Jacob that he could be. We don't expect him to be Andrew. We don't expect him to be John. We expect him to be Jacob, and the best Jacob he can be. So when we were done with our program, we helped him get his first job. And like I had talked about earlier with you beforehand, he interviewed so well, but that's a part of our program. We help them with those interview skills to be ready to be on that first interview for a job.
Yeah, and I think you said, Jacob, there was an interview question where they asked you something about, like, if there was a conflict at work, how would you handle it? And I think you were saying earlier, how did you respond to that question? How would you handle conflict?
So yeah, I'd find what was the cause of the problem in the first place, because I think that'd be the best way to fix it. Because like if something just kept going and going and going and nothing was getting fixed, I think it just get worse overall.
Yeah, and Sue Ellen, you were commenting that that's, a really insightful approach, because a lot of people kind of have this problem solution. One leads to the other, and his first response is like, well, let's get to the root of the problem. How I solve it really depends on what type of problem it was. So that's pretty neat.
And that's partly what they learn in our cognitive training. When you have a problem to solve, what do you have? What do you need? And that goes to the heart of it. If you have a conflict, what was the conflict? What started it? So now we know, what do we have and what do we need to solve it?
I love that. Okay, Dana, I'm going to ask you a little bit about the impact for you, but first we're going to take a short break. When you have a kid who is different, all your ducks need to be in a row, especially your money. Cam Howell with Primerica knows the joys and challenges as he and his wife raise their medically fragile son, Brooks. Cam brings over 14 years of experience to help his clients be protected, have a plan for the future, reduce debt, and connect to resources. Get your financial house in order so that you can enjoy every moment with your child. And now back to the show. So Dana, talk to us a little bit about watching Jacob be part of the program. What do you love about it? How have you seen it change him? How's it made an impact on your lives?
Well, I think the first thing I noticed when he came home after the first 2 or 3 sessions that he went to, he started talking to me all the way home. And
I had like so much to talk about.
And he was never, ever had that much to talk about. So it was wonderful to see that already it was having an impact in his social skills and his ability to just tell me about his day, because usually if he went somewhere, I'm like, how was your day? Fine. Did you have a good time? Yep. And in this case, he was just telling me everything, all the details. It was wonderful. And then when he came home and started cleaning my kitchen, I was all about that.
Sign me up, right?
Yes.
Initiative.
And we
I was with Susan when I did that.
Oh yes, yeah. And those were things that I worked with him at home anyway. As a homeschool mom, I did the life skills with him. But it was so nice to have that reinforcement of people that were not mom to talk to him about the same things I was already talking to him about and working with him on those same things. And I just saw him blossom in not only his ability and his social skills, but also his confidence. Because before the program, he was really down and depressed, I would say.
Yeah.
And stressed.
To be blunt.
Yeah. And stressed about how life was going to be and what he was going to do. But after next step, even just a few sessions, he already had hope, and his confidence went from 0 to 60. So
Wow.
It's just been amazing to see.
Now, Sue Ellen, people are going to want to know a little bit more about you guys. So first of all, give us your website and those kind of details.
So our website is nextstepky.org. And our email address, it's all singular, nextstepky trainingprogramky@gmail.com. A phone number where you can reach us, where we do answer the phone. It's not automated. It's 502-257-2719. And I'd like for Susan to explain why it's next step and not plural.
Yes, the next step is that we focus on one step at a time and not the whole big picture, so it's not overwhelming. We really do realize lots of our clients struggle with anxiety, and we do lots of things to help alleviate that. And just like we're just going to do one step at a time.
I love that. Susan, I wanted to ask you, I'm sure we could take probably the next 40 minutes with this question, but let's take just a few. Whether it's things you saw in Jacob or other clients you've worked with, tell us a story or two about the impact you've seen this program make with young people.
Oh, wow. We've had parents come back and tell us that we have given them their child, that they can now see they have such hope. It's over and over again. What we have noticed is that the more the client, the person who's doing our program buys in and does what we ask, the more benefit they get out of it and the higher they get. We really do that Karate Kid thing of wax on, wax off, where what we do doesn't seem like why am I doing standing on a balance board juggling a ball? How is that helping me? But that really does the skills, it helps build up the stamina for a job. And it also just helps build that confidence, and it's making the more neuron connections, which then lets them do it at a higher level. So, yeah, we have just seen from so many of the parents and from the clients even. Sometimes clients come totally identifying themselves by their disability. They will introduce themselves by their disabilities, and by the end of the program, they are no longer doing that.
Wow, that's big.
It
So,
is.
Ellen, how about you? I mean, there are lots, but what sticks out in your mind as the story that kind of exemplifies what this program does?
One of our other first students is, I mean, we've had so many success stories and we could go on and on. But when he came into our program, he was early 30s and he had interviewed for, I would say, probably close to 100 jobs. And the longest he had ever held a job was less than 90 days. And he now just celebrated his 4th anniversary on the job. He is so much more confident than he ever used to be. He comes to our game nights by himself. He does not need a parent to come with him. And he talks to me like a neurotypical adult. Like we're just having a conversation. And it's just so huge. We can start to have adult friendships with our students. So it just gets better and better over time. Just because they're done with our 16-week program and we've gotten them a job does not mean that the growth stops. We have seen growth over time, and I would say a good 80% of our students.
If folks are listening, what are the different ways you'd like the community, whether they're local or even listening in another state, what are ways people can help? What are ways they can be involved?
We need employers. We need employers to understand that hiring somebody with autism can be a huge win for their company, but they have to be understanding of what it takes and allow a little bit of maybe extra training time. So we would love to talk to employers to get some tours of places. We would love for parents to know that we are available. We are expanding into Louisville. We are in Shelby County right now, and we would love to have more opportunities for students when it comes to our program and the places where it can be. And for the first time, so Susan got the vision for our program in 2016, and here it is 2026. We just graduated our 10th group of students, which is really exciting. And we are looking for donors who want to walk alongside of us. This is the first time we've truly asked for money from anyone besides doing fundraising. But we have a we've proven that what we're doing works, and we want to expand what we're doing and help more and more students, and that doesn't come without a cost. And so we would love to get some donors who would like to walk alongside of us and change families' lives.
And I'm assuming there's a donate button on that website.
There is, yes. If you go to nextstepky.org and go to the donate page, we actually have a way you can donate one time or monthly. You can also donate straight from your 401k. We are with some of the major organizations like Fidelity, and also volunteering, pouring into our students. Dana and her family are just amazing volunteers. They walk alongside of us. They come to different events, and we can't do events and things without those volunteers.
Wow, fantastic. Give us that website one more time.
nextstepky.org.
All right, I'm going to give you a super simplified question, and it's admittedly that. But if you were brought, I'm going to ask this to Dana and Sue Ellen and Susan. If you were brought in to speak to a group of young parents who had kids who had some type of extra challenge, all kinds of labels or diagnoses, and you had to give them like 2 or 3 keys to success raising a kid with differences. We'll start with Dana. What would they be? What would you tell them?
I would say don't see forward too far into the future and think that you know what their life is going to turn out to be before you've even gotten through a day. Because I think that's where a lot of the grief comes from, for people who find out about the diagnoses their children may have. They think more about the what ifs and less of the possibilities. So I think and then another thing is just meet your child where they're at. Learn to love who they are. Just take it day by day. And I have noticed with Jacob that it's really about giving him the time and space to grow and blossom. It doesn't matter, like when children are babies, it doesn't matter if they learn to walk at 1 or 2, they still learn to walk. And that's the point. And that goes with everything that a person needs to learn. It doesn't matter at what age or stage they learn it. What matters is that eventually they do. And I think if you give the time and space and don't impose your own rules on how things should go, that things are going to go a lot better for both you and your child.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. Sue Ellen, how about you?
I would echo everything that Dana just said. And I would also say it's never too late. My sister actually went through our program, and it was phenomenal. We did not realize those are the struggles that she was having, because she always struggled as she was growing up. And at 55, she went through our program with me as the director. She humbled herself, and she is a changed person. So I would say to parents, it is never too late. But again, echoing what Dana said, love them for who they are. And don't let them get away with things just because, oh, that's just the way they are, right? So hold them to a higher standard, hold them to the standard, but love them through that.
I love it. And Susan, how about you?
I have to agree and echo. I'm sorry you're hearing my little bird clock in the back. I would have to agree with what they said. It was very good. If it was new parents doing this, again, meet them where they are. I chose homeschooling because I could meet the needs where my son was. I could give him the higher academics, but also then have the social skills at a younger age. So when he was in high school, his best friends were 12 because that's where he was socially. I really like that homeschooling where you can meet them where they are on all the different levels. And yeah, one day at a time. And God doesn't make a mistake. There is a purpose, and there is they have meaning, and and they have value.
Well, thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed this episode, which I know you did, don't want to be a best kept secret. Tell others about it. Go to our Facebook page, like and share this episode, and send it to somebody who could benefit. We need your help getting word out about this podcast. My ultimate dream for this podcast is that when you listen, number one, you learn something. Number two, you get a little dose of inspiration. And number three, this becomes part of your village, right? We all need to connect with a broader community and help parents not feel so alone on this journey. So help us get the word out about this podcast. We'd love to feature other nonprofits like Next Step that are doing great work around the country. If you've got an idea for a guest, reach out to me. And I'm still doing 2 episodes a month. One is a nonprofit and the other is an individual, an adult who grew up with a disability, or a grandparent or a parent that's raising a child or has raised a child and wants to share their unique story. So we'd love your ideas for future guests. Again, we know you're busy. Thanks for listening. Folks, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was delightful.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Thanks, Jacob. Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time.